Good evening, everyone. I have the time of 6:01, so I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. We are here for the Special Education Citizens Advisory Committee monthly meeting. And for those who may not know me, I am Jamie Shoflin, the chair, and I have with me also our co-chair, Tara Capps. We will start with a couple of updates. Chairperson comments. So a couple of things since our last meeting. We did have the resignation of one of our members, Dorothea Mordan, so she decided to end her term early. So just be aware of that change. I also wanted to share with the committee members that I did have an opportunity to connect with Missy Dirks, who's president of FCTA, and reached out to her to see how we can connect with teachers in a way that might be more supportive, give them a way to give us feedback around challenges and opportunities around special education. So she's meeting with her board this Thursday. She's going to connect with the board and see how we could potentially work together to get some feedback directly from educators around special education. We had talked at a couple of prior meetings last year around potentially doing needs assessments or surveys just to get feedback from folks. So I just wanted to share that update that I've connected with Missy Dirks, and we'll keep you posted on how that moves forward. We also have a series of observances leading into March that I wanted to just make sure folks were aware of. We have the Disability Community Day of Mourning. We also have the International Wheelchair Day. There is, not in the US, but UK, there is Dyscalculia Awareness Day. There's World Hearing Day coming up in early March, National Brain Injury Awareness Day, World Down Syndrome Day, and then National Cerebral Palsy Awareness Day, and then Purple Day for Epilepsy. So those are some of the disability awareness activities that are happening this month. With that, we'll move into approval of the minutes from our January 27th meeting, 2025. Were there any changes or corrections to the minutes? I believe, Patty, you had a grammatical correction, which we can take into consideration. I did.
It was the year for the
okay.
November.
Okay, so we'll get that corrected.
Yeah.
With that correction, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
So Laura, all those in favor? I think it's unanimous. Any abstentions? Jen seconded.
Him for a second.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
With mid-coding, but
Yeah.
You're right.
So any abstentions? Okay, and no nays. So we are good to approve the minutes. All right, so that brings us into the portion of our agenda where we intend to highlight something that is educational for not only our members, but those who may be listening from home after our meeting is over. We do have the ARC of Frederick County on our agenda this evening. So we do have Corby Fowler, one of our members, as well as Lisa Martinez, to take us through some educational information, and we'll have some time for questions if you'd like. So I will turn it over to you.
Do you want us just to talk from here, or
Wherever
you're? Okay. So I'm Lisa Martinez, and you already know Corby, and we're both support coordinators at the ARC of Frederick County. We actually have other roles there too, which we'll tell you a little bit about when we tell you about our services. The ARC was founded in 1958 by parents. So really, there were not any services for their children who had developmental disabilities. So they kind of came together, and that is how our agency started. Our mission statement is really, we want to help provide people with disabilities to have enviable lives. People with disabilities want all the same things that we all want. They want to have friends, they want to feel included, they want to feel productive, and we try to help them to do all of those things. So we provide individually designed support services that collaborate with the community to build inclusive programs for adults and for children with developmental disabilities. We're one of the only agencies that really support people through their whole lifespan, from birth until death. So we are a DDA service provider agency. So I'm going to go through some of the services, all of the services that we provide that are funded through DDA. We have residential supports. We are a little bit different because we don't have group homes. We support people independently in their own homes or in their families' homes. So that's kind of how our residential services work. So it's a little bit different because we don't have group homes. We also have employment services, so we help people to find jobs, help them to maintain their jobs, help them to get a job that they will like and will want to do, just like all of us want to have jobs that we enjoy doing. So we really strive to do that with the people that we support. We have the ARC at Market Street, where we have a culinary program that is a training program for people who might be interested in working in a kitchen. They learn skills to, like, in a commercial kitchen with like a commercial dishwasher and all those things. They also learn some serving skills, taking orders, those kinds of things to help them to get a job in the community that they'll enjoy.
And all of the events that are held at Market Street, the staff are individuals who have gone through the program. So that's part of the caveat for using the building there, is that we utilize the individuals who have gone through the program so they get practice. That is always a paid time for them. It's not just their vocational training. That is a paid service that they get paid for providing that to the community. So that is something that's a hot commodity when you've gone through the training, for people to come back and be able to do lots of events there, to serve, to make food, to package food. So, and sometimes they're really big evening events, and it's, they have coat checks and all of those fun things. So that's a big opportunity.
And the idea really is that people kind of come through Market Street to learn skills, to get a job out in the community. I think our biggest hurdle is everybody gets so comfortable there that they want to stay there forever. And we're like, no, it's temporary, because we want to give everybody an opportunity to learn some of those skills to then get a job in the community. So that's, we do really love our training program.
We also work a lot with doors, especially for transitioning youth when you're coming out of school. DDA now requires that you utilize door services to start your employment search. So that's usually who we partner with, and the vocational program's typically gone through there if somebody hasn't utilized doors yet. So that's another really important resource that we utilize often with individuals.
And in the same building, we have a day program that is more for people who are, for whatever reason, not working. Maybe they are of retirement age and they've already worked and now they're retired. Maybe they're more medically challenged and they have, higher needs that makes it difficult for them to have a paying job. But the day program provides volunteer opportunities and opportunities for people to get out in the community and be with their friends and do fun things too. And we also have autism waiver service coordination that we offer. So those are all of the things that are under the DDA funded services. Corby's going to talk to you a little bit about the things that we do for the whole community.
First of all, the ARC, a long time ago, people capitalized it and used it as a different acronym. And the way that we think that the ARC is nowadays, especially in the current time, is advocacy, resources, and community connections. Advocacy is a huge part of what the ARC, how it got started, how it continues, and how we're planning for the future for that. This year especially has needed so much advocacy, not just from the ARC. We've obviously partnered with the ARC of Maryland, the ARC in the United States, gives us a lot of support. Every ARC is run a little bit differently, but we all have a very similar mission. And mainly here in Maryland, it is really to keep those funds and to provide services for people in the community, to keep them in the community as much and not to go backwards, to only move forward. So that's a big piece of what we are doing currently this year. Our information and referral services is for anyone. Lisa and I do that together. That's one of the other hats that we wear at the ARC. And we have over 300 to 400 calls a year that come in to us where people are asking for resources, they have questions. Lots of times they're sad stories that they don't have services or someone's passed away and they don't know what to do with a sibling. And it's just really trying to get them connected to services in the state. Lots of calls from out of the state of Maryland for people who want to move here, especially to Frederick County. And giving them the awakening that you can't just move here and have whatever services you've had in New York or Virginia. They're different everywhere, and they don't just transfer to another state. So if someone leaves the state of Maryland, your services don't just transfer to Virginia. You have to start all over. So that's kind of how it is in the service provider industry. That's why DDA is the one agency in the state of Maryland that approves services. And I'm assuming each state has one of those entities that makes that happen. The other thing that we do is, I think a lot of you know more about, is that we have sibling support group, and that's on a Saturday once a month. And I'm not going to get the ages right because I mess them up every time, but I think it's 8 to 14 who can get together. They can talk about their sibling. They can have some free time. They have speakers. They do crafts. Just a way to have a connection, to help people feel not alone. We all know, I have a daughter with a disability as well, so we all know in that household it's very challenging not to focus on one person, and no matter how hard you do that and you do everything the same, the child without a disability always feels like they're a little bit slighted or a little in the background. So that's a really important thing that we try to bring forward with the sibling support group. And I do know that that's going to be partnering, I believe, with ESA and the Partners for Success. There's going to be some collaboration there, so hopefully we can expand that service. We also have Parents' Day Out, and for children 3
No, I
to
think
12,
it's 5.
5 to 12. Sorry guys, I'm not good with
That's okay.
the young ones, but 5 to 12 I believe. That's also once a month at the ARC, and that is offered to families to drop their children off, sometimes with their sibling, for 4 hours on a Saturday to have some respite, to have some relief, to be able to run errands, lots of times around the holidays to get some Christmas shopping done and wrapping and all those kind of things done. And so that's a really great thing that the ARC has done for many, many years. So we really, those are some vital programs. And like we said, these are all free. Everything I'm talking about are free services for the community.
Parents' Day Out is also an opportunity for high school kids to volunteer and get involved. That's a great opportunity for them.
Absolutely. We partner with just about every agency in this Frederick community. Lots of them to do additional classes. We're working not only with FCPS, we work with FCC, we work with the Delaplane, the Asian American Center, lots of places that are offering classes for people to expand their opportunities, to get them used to spending time in different arenas, not just coming to the ARC for events and things like that. We really want them to get used to utilizing their communities the most that we can. We do always have volunteer opportunities, not just for middle and high school. Lots of times we collaborate a lot with college students and adults as well. We have a lot of adults who offer their time as a specialty, whether that be they love photography, so they come and do a photography class, or they love art and they come and do an art class. I think right now someone's doing a guitar class. So we do really value that. We have a lot of volunteer hours. We're really building it back up. COVID put a kibosh on a lot of these programs. So really, I would say the last 6 months, we've really just got our foot back into getting a much more normalized outside activity and a lot of events. The other thing that Lisa and I do are future and estate planning. And that is something that we get a lot of calls about, like I said, where things haven't been planned for people, so people are in a panic when older family members pass away and nobody really knows what to do. So regardless, if you have a loved one that has a disability, every person needs to plan for their future. If you have a significant other or a family, you have to plan for the end of your life. If you care for them, you don't want them to be struggling. It is a challenging time, and if you have a loved one with a disability, it's very much more difficult. When someone is in the service agency realm, they only can have limited resources. They only can have $2,000 to their name. If they inherit money, that will kick them out of services. So things have to be put in place correctly. There needs to be special needs trusts. They need to be done by specific attorneys so that the wording is correct. There are lots of things. I know at the resource fair, Lisa and I are going to be doing part of the breakout session for future planning with a wonderful attorney that has worked with other families here in Frederick, and I believe with Kelly Nelson from Maryland ABLE, which is also a great resource for individuals with disabilities and their families to utilize that service. An ABLE account is a place that the state has deemed appropriate for somebody to save money and not affect their benefits. They can save up to $100,000 without it affecting their Social Security. That has never happened for many, many years. So that's a really, really important resource, especially if anybody is working. It's a great way for them to put their money in that account. They can build on it, they can save on it, and they can draw from it just like a regular checking account with a debit card. I'm sorry, you have to stop me because I will talk for a very long time. So that's really, really vital. Lisa and I do that. We try to hold a lot of events so that families can come. On the ARC website, we have a lot of future and estate information. Everything we've talked about today, there is something on our website about that. On the website is also something called the Letter of Intent. That is something that you can work on for your loved one. We have a child version and an adult version. That letter specifically goes through someone's day, what is important to them, what somebody would need to know if they have to drop in and come in and take care of someone. We have used these letters significantly through the ARC when families have had an emergency. Just one time was an older woman, and I supported her son, who was a gentleman who did not utilize words to communicate. And she was well in her 80s, and he's well in his 60s. She had an emergency and had to have a surgery, and he can't communicate how to help him get through his day or what he needs or what he wants or what he likes. Luckily, we had this letter, and a cousin could come down and she could kind of read through the letter. She didn't live with him, but she really could manage to get through that short period of time until we could have more significant support. So it's really vital for that. It's really vital to show what you want your wishes to be for your loved one as they move on. It goes through multiple categories. It's a great thing to just write down. Even if you have a two-partner household, lots of times one partner does all the morning stuff, all the school stuff, all the doctor stuff. It's not typically everybody together. Everybody has their own little categories, so lots of times, I'm trying not to be, but I'll use my own example. Dad doesn't know how we eat our waffles in the morning. He is not there. He doesn't know it has to be the blue cup, just do the blue cup. Like, just, you know, he doesn't know that. So those are like important things, right? That would save his day too, as well as your loved one, to make their day better. So that's a great resource to utilize. Hopefully we'll be having another training session for that coming up. Hopefully by the summer. We had one during COVID that was really successful. It was like an 8-week training that we did with families so they could work on this letter and get it done. Because I know everything always feels like it's overwhelming.
Well, and that was nice too, because it
Yeah.
was over Zoom, and it was an 8-week thing, and the idea was just take this hour to get this one part done, and then it's
Right.
done.
Right.
And then it's done, and by the end of the 8 weeks, you've completed this thing that felt so huge, and,
Yeah.
you know.
So that's just a snippet. Some of the
One other
things,
thing
yes.
that's on here is we do also do Hispanic outreach. So we do have a Hispanic outreach coordinator who can, you know, if somebody needs help with interpretation, if, you know,
And they have this
And they have a
Hispanic
support
Outreach
group.
support group?
Yep.
Always. Just a really quick little thing, we do know that with all the advocacy going on, that it does seem like most of the money for this current year, 2025, may have been salvaged through the state of Maryland, but there is a huge issue. It looks like it says 94% of the cost containment will still move through. 71% of Marylanders did vote not to have any cuts in Medicaid services for the state of Maryland. So it is a huge majority that don't want any of those services cut or altered in any way. It looks like for the FY '26 that there is a proposed budget cut of $457 million. And just to give you a small idea of what that means is that for Medicaid, when you're in a waivered service through the state, the federal government matches that money 50%. So when they're saying 200 million, it's probably 400 million, because if we don't have the 200 million from the state, we're not getting it from federal. So those are big, big numbers and huge amount of people who need services. I think there's 31,000 still on the wait list just to receive services in Maryland. That's not counting anybody new. Or I don't even know if it's counting the autism waiver list. I don't even know if it's counting that. So there's huge need. So please don't forget to keep advocating and keep sending your letters and keep sending what you need to all of the state individuals. I know that everybody has sent them out. Everybody's done such a great job for CCAC, sending out the letters earlier this, I think, last month. But it's such a needed thing right now, just to try to keep that on the front burner for everybody.
I think that's an important point, the federal match, right? Because we had talked at our meeting, 200 million or whatever, but that doesn't include the federal match that would also, we wouldn't get.
Right. So does anybody have any questions or anything that we can answer for you?
I have a question. The sibling support group, I know the minimum age is 8, but you're partnering with Partners for Success. Is that gonna lower that minimum age maybe?
I don't know. I'm not sure if they've talked about it. I do know that families would like to have it be a little younger. I think at this point, when it came back over the past year or so, I think they've just been trying to make it really consistent for that core group. But I think that they know that families would like it to be a little bit younger. I'm not sure what the opportunity is for that. For both Parents Day Out and Sib Shop, we really try to, they keep a list, they really try to keep it so that it's a smaller group. When I say smaller, I mean like 15, but they try to have one-to-one volunteers for every person there because everyone wants it to be a very successful event. We want parents to feel comfortable, we want kids to feel comfortable. So I know that part can be challenging. But for Parents Day Out, that sibling can go with their brother or sister to that.
And I had a follow-up question as well. So I think you mentioned for the sibling support, it's like from 8 to 14, maybe, right, approximately. And then for Parents Day Out, 5 to 12.
It's 5 to 12 or 5 to 13.
I think it's 5 to 13.
Okay, 5 to 13. Those are big ranges. So do you typically see like younger kids or older kids, or do you really have like
It's mixed every age. That's why I say that's why we try to have one-to-one, because everybody isn't doing the same thing at the same time, unless they have a speaker or something like that. It's usually held now at our office at Market Street. So when the weather is permitting, they have the whole back is completely fenced in. So it's a big, large opportunity. And if you've ever been there, there's a huge event space. So it's almost like a huge gymnasium. So they have all kinds of stuff going on in there, and you really could be doing 10 different things and not interfere with each other. I mean, there really is enough space for that. So that's why they really try to have the one-to-one volunteers, because a 13-year-old doesn't necessarily want to be, playing a game with a 5-year-old. But you'd be surprised
And a lot
at
of
how well
times-
they get along.
Part of the group might be outside, the other part might be inside. They're not even all in the same, so it's very individualized.
So you have younger siblings. Would you happen to have support groups for adult siblings?
We don't at the current.
Like a support?
We have a lot of resources for support groups, but not ourselves at the ARC.
Can you provide me some examples of your support groups?
I cut in an email.
All right, give me 3 right now, and then I love the email.
Well, I know we just had a new person who is starting on a
Yeah.
line on Discord for adults with disabilities support group, because I had that email today from a lady who was information referral.
We also
So-
are starting a family advocacy group.
Right.
So for families, we've had a self-advocacy
Yeah,
group for
yeah.
years
Oh,
and
yeah.
years.
We have
But
we have
now
self-advocacy,
they're
yeah.
starting a family, so that, not so much for the individual, but
Right.
for their families.
We've had parent support groups in the past. That hasn't necessarily picked up since COVID for some reason. I don't know. I'm not saying it wouldn't come back, but, I mean, the fact of the matter, there's only so many of us working there, and really, our plates are really full.
Oh.
So it's hard to add, like,
And the
all the other
TBI.
additional activities. Oh, yeah, and I do TBI support group. I even forget my own jobs, guys, so, sorry, like, I have a lot of jobs. So I do traumatic brain injury. We have a support group, meets once a month. Currently, our research office is undergoing renovation, so it won't be back up and running until April or May. But that's also a resource for adults or caregivers, for anyone who has a traumatic brain injury.
Any other questions? We've got Claudia, then John, then Joanna.
Yeah, can you expand a little bit on the Hispanic?
Well, we know that Rosa Reyes has been running that a lot, and she has a partner, I guess, Charity, also helps facilitate different communication
And to do
with
a
the
support
population.
group once a
Mhm,
month on a Saturday, and she typically will have like a speaker come in. I can't think of like real specific what they've done.
Well, I feel like,
recently.
well, I
They've done a
know
lot of
that they're
things.
doing a lot with what's happening currently with immigration and stuff. I
Yes.
know they've had a lot of speakers come in. I think some attorneys come in that can provide some support for families. I know that we try to do some fundraising and, see what families are needing in the area. I know that when time permits, Rosa tries to help individuals with their school plans, their IEP meetings. We really do look a lot, because so many people need some help, so we really do partner with everybody. I mean, we go with Partners for Success a lot, especially since Issa's been on board. It's really important for families, so we really value their support as well, especially for the school community. So we just try to get everybody connected.
And we did a future and presentation that they did in Spanish for
Yeah,
us. They
yeah.
translated all in
Yeah,
Spanish.
and now our website also goes to alternate languages. You can click that. Too. But if you ever need that, you can just let us know and we can connect you with Rosa. And Rosa, like I said, we'll be at the CCAC Fair, so all that information will be on our table, and all the business cards will be there. And actually, we probably have business cards here.
Yep.
We brought some with us.
John, you had the next question?
I've had some excellent food from Martha's Kitchen. Can you tell us how that works? I didn't try it myself. I don't know.
That is part of the culinary program. So we have a chef there, and then people who are part of that culinary program, learning those skills, they're the ones who are cooking all that.
I understand that. I'm talking about for the public. They
Well,
sell the
before
food?
COVID, we had the shops open during the day on the side of Market Street, and we would have lunch every day where people could order. Since that, we just have not been able to pick that up just because of the need. But we do have specials always online, like right now it's pie special for Pie Day. Usually they sell more than 200 and some pies for Pie Day, and the culinary students will be preparing all those, and that'll be a pickup. He does specials all the time. I feel like, plus The other things that they do there is, right now, we're having a soda bread cooking class, we're having a yogurt parfait cooking class. So, I mean, everybody wears so many multiple hats, trying to get so many different things done, that sometimes the things that we love and want to do, there just isn't enough time. But if you have look at the website, it'll say Market Street on there, and you can click on that, and it will show you like what the current flyer is and like what's selling. Lots of times it's like soups, or like for Super Bowl with stuff.
You sell the food like at market prices pretty much, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Joanna, did you have?
A great brisket, if anybody loves brisket, boy.
It is very, very good.
Yeah.
They do a nice job.
My question was similar to Claudia's, so I would love Rose's information as well. I don't know why, but a lot of people just always come to me for questions, and I was still looking for answers. And a lot of people in the community, what I've found is, you know, you take for granted how easy access you have just because of the language. And I've found that I'm very blessed that I can ask the questions and read everything, and also having education helps, right? So, but a lot of the families that come sometimes don't have all of those things that I just listed, and it makes it more difficult when you have a child with autism or any disability at all. So, you know, so first I want to say thank you so much for providing that service, as of course, because there's so many communities. There's the Asian community, as you mentioned, there's so many. My question is, I understand we do have someone for like the Hispanic community. Do you guys have things for other communities, like other?
We don't at this time. Like I said, our website now has, where you can change it to multiple languages. I know that the ARC of the United States, all of their things on there can be used in multiple languages. I think even maybe on some of the ARC on Maryland. But especially when it comes to future planning and questions and things in that area, I think Maryland Able also is able to do multiple languages on their websites. It's a challenge. I know when we have families that have more of a specific need, we try to help them find somebody that can communicate the best with them, but it's challenging.
Did I hear you say you were partnering with Asian?
Yeah, we partner a lot with them.
Okay, because they do so much.
They do,
work,
yeah.
So I imagine you guys have something with the disability portion of that.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. None of us can do
No,
any
we
of this by ourselves. I mean, we need every resource.
Yeah.
When we go to places, that's the best part about it. If we see a new resource, we scarf them up really quickly. That'd be the thing, especially at the resource fair. I feel like I'm a plug for the resource fair, but everybody will be there.
It's a good time
And
to
it is
get
a
a lot
good
of
time to
information.
just really go around, and that way you can put a face to a name, you can get cards, you can ask about specific needs in their agencies, that they, you know, how they connect with that, so that's really important.
I have some of
Yeah,
Rose's
yeah,
cards here,
yeah.
help yourself, and I have mine I put here too. You know how to get in touch, of course.
She didn't put mine there, everybody, that's fine. No, that's fine.
So, and for me, I mean, any information referral, and we get calls for, it's not even always
Everything.
disability
No,
related,
it's not.
honestly. A
It's
lot
a
of
lot
it
of
is like,
aging.
it's somebody who's homeless, and they don't know what to do,
Yeah.
and they don't know
We work
where
a
to
lot with
turn.
downtown, the Department of Health, and with housing. You know, Frederick is rich in resources when it comes to food. Nobody should ever be hungry in Frederick, but boy, it is hard to find housing in Frederick. So that's a challenge for our community. So that's one thing that's very challenging, that we also end up calling each other, hoping that somebody knows where somebody can stay or live, and we're always like, we're counting
Well, a
on
lot of
you.
it is those connections that we're making, so.
One last question, any final questions? Okay, thank you, Corby and Lisa, we really appreciate everything that you shared this evening. All right,
It's helpful.
absolutely. Okay, so we will move on to the Board of Education liaison comments. Alan?
Hi. Hey.
I'm going to give you an update on the budget. If you were not watching or did not watch the last Board of Education meeting, we did pass the budget on to the county. There were some adjustments that were made at that last meeting. There were 5 motions to make adjustments to the budget. All of those motions were carried, but they were carried with the preface that it is dependent upon funding. So there was 5 million that was, I'm rounding, okay, either up or down. There's 5 million and some change, million to salaries, that did carry. 7 million, which would be added to the budget to reduce class sizes, okay? So some of these were reductions, but it adds to the amount. Adjustment to facility fees, so that would have been reducing facility fees, but it adds back to the budget. That was $650K. There is an OPEB deposit, which is part of the retirement fund for employees. So there was a vote that carried, a motion that carried for 1.6 million to be deposited in that. Previous years, there have not been a deposit in there, or the deposit has been less than what the agreement was. And then reducing athletic fees would have been adding about another $776,000 to the budget. So total adjustment to the budget, originally with the superintendent's recommended budget, it was about 19 million over MOE, which is maintenance of effort. That is what the county is that's what we're guaranteed to get from the county. Now with the additions that went through in the last board meeting, we're at 35 million over MOE. So again, there's, you know, it's recognizing needs, it's recognizing that there are probably going to be some tough meetings coming up. So, and we all know what the nature of the budget is here at the state or at the state level, and that all trickles down to the county level. But right now, what went before the county was about 900, and it was 988 million plus change that went to the county. So we're looking at, right, you know, what their requirement or what their obligation is about 954 million. It's going to be a struggle, I think. We'll see what happens. The next step is that we will continue once we understand from the county what they're willing to fund, and then we know what state and what federal funds we're going to get. That's pretty much set in stone at this point. There could still be some additional adjustments from state, but we don't believe that that's really the big adjustments will come from the county. So with that being said, once we understand what's coming from the county, then we're going to take another look at the budget. But we've got, if I'm trying to remember the timeline, I think it's actually, we have till April before we really understand what's going on. In the meantime, there's opportunities to look at the budget, dig deep, understand where we want to go, where we don't want to go. If we have to make some reductions. But again, just to reiterate that the additional amount that was approved to move forward to the county above that 19 million, which made it 35 million, was all of those were carried, all those motions were carried with the preface that they were dependent upon funding.
And June 25th is when you do the final approval?
That is the final,
Okay.
yes, exactly. Yep.
Thank
And then
you.
it becomes our budget. Well, it's actually our budget now, once it goes to the county, but then it becomes the budget for the school system.
Okay. Any questions? Laura?
Just information, County Executive Fitzwater will be releasing it on the 15th of April.
Yep.
all things contingent on state.
Zoe?
Are there county budget meetings that we can attend?
I think they are done. I
Not
don't-
Board of Ed, but like,
Yes, I know what you're talking about, that the county council's holding in order to hear like public hearings, so that you can, I'm not sure, to tell you the truth, that's a good question, I don't know, but I feel like they're done. I feel like they've already had their,
There's typically one after the county executive releases her budget. There's typically one where you can go and speak to the county commissioners or county council to kind of talk about, to advocate for additional funding.
okay.
And so I was quickly trying to look up to see if I could find that date for you. Let me see if I can find it.
If we don't find it here, we'll send it around to
Yeah.
everyone. I know that the county executive already held some budget town halls across the county, but we'll see what other opportunities there might be. It's a good question. Any other questions? Ms. Allen, okay. Let's move on to Department of Special Education Leadership updates. Katie?
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming. A huge thank you to Isa and Grace and Emily Quinlan for the wonderful event last Friday. It was touching. I know we'll talk about it, but a wonderful effort. So thank you for that, and it's exciting to have that open. What you'll see on director's comments today is it's recruitment season, so our team is working really hard to recruit top candidates and teachers prior to other districts. So actually on Monday, next Monday that is, they'll be going to Mount St. Mary's for one of the job fairs in hopes of recruiting some new candidates, which is an amazing opportunity. There is a flyer linked there, so if you know of any good candidates who want to come join FCPS, please feel free to share those or that information and the reasons why. We do a lot of work on retention here, because what we know is that by keeping our staff, we build their capacity over time and want to continue to invest in them. So what you'll see in the notes is we provide 5 additional paid days for them to do work outside of their contractual day. We also, for speech and language pathologists, do some reimbursements for ASHA and CEU credits, and that's also the same for board certified behavior analysts. This year we kicked something off, it's called micro-credentialing for our special education instructional assistants. And we offered it, we did a couple of information sessions. There's 4 target topics to that they had to complete assignments on. And should they complete those, then they'll get a micro-credentialing aspect that they can put on their email and be proud to share. So we're really excited about that. We have about 20 participants who will be looking to be graduating with that micro-credentialing, so that's exciting. And then the other thing that's really important for us is the parent involvement survey opened. It was supposed to open last Friday, but ended up opening on President's Day. So we have that flyer attached there. At the Parent Resource Center, there was an opportunity, or open house, excuse me, there was an opportunity for parents to fill that out. And we'll also do that at the CCAC Resource Fair. So any support of that would be greatly appreciated. Also in today's agenda is linked our new CCAC recommendation progress report. You'll see the old recommendations are still going to remain on the bottom. The UZ we did from last year, but then updated it based upon your most recent board presentation. Did keep the color scheme with the 5 pillars so that that still aligns, and then we'll continue to update that with any progress that we have performed within the county towards those goals. I will share that this last week we did Inspired Yellow, which is for our assistant principals, and continue to focus on co-teaching and building our continuum, and it was really well received and a lot of excitement, so just continuing that momentum moving forward. Do you guys have any questions for us?
The micro-credentialing, what are the topics?
You were going to ask, so I cannot remember.
Troy knows them all. Yeah.
So role of the SEIA, disability awareness, behavior supports, and instructional supports. Are the 4 main criteria for that, and there's components and activities built around each of those.
Exciting.
It was well received.
Other questions? Any updates from you, Mr. Keller?
You did it all.
Okay.
Updates.
Okay, thank you for those updates. I would encourage all of us to take a look at the attachments that are in this deck is in our CCAC Drive.
especially given that they've updated the attachment with the latest CPAC recommendations, so that you are aware of what's being captured and how that's being tracked, and then you can ask questions in future CCAC meetings if you're curious about what they're up to in terms of the recommendations that we've made. So make sure that you know what those are.
So just if I can circle back, so last year it was on April 23rd. I cannot find when it is for the county council budget hearing. So there should be something after county executive releases her budget, there should be another opportunity that folks can go and speak to the county council.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on that and make sure we share that out. Or if you all see that date, please share it with members. Okay, our partners for success.
Yes. Like you said, it was a very big success on Friday. We had around 304 sign-ins. That's not including who was accompanying them and their kids that they brought. And so it was a very good turnout. We had quite a bit of vendors, including CCAC as one. And then Frederick Theatrics, so the kids could play. We had goodies and snacks, and so it was a really good turnout and a really good opportunity for more families to be exposed to the sports that they have, and honestly to just realize that we're here to help. I think a lot of them that came multiple times said we had no idea that this was something that was available to us, or this was nice to hear that we could have something like this. So it was very nice to hear families being exposed more to the sports that they have. So I guess next on our agenda is going to be the student panel that we will be working on for March 28th. And then CPAC Resource Fair and helping with those. And then our efforts is to kind of finish out the year trying to continue making those partnerships with other community members and kind of growing our little family. To kind of piggyback off of what Corby was talking about with the SIB shops, I think our idea is to have two separate groups. So it will be one for just the littles. I'm gonna say maybe like 3 to 6 or 3 to 7, and then having another 8 to 13 group. But with, so we're going to start with, we are shadowing SIB shops on March 8th, just to kind of see how it is that they run it. And then from there, I think this summer is when we're going to be planning a lot of how we want that to look, how we want it to be ran. And so it probably won't be rolled out until the following school year. Because with SIB shops too, you can have volunteers, but then you have to have people running it be certified. So that we also have to wait for individuals who want to get certified to run SIB shops as well. So it'll be a little bit of a planning process for that one. But we are continuing doing outreach. We've gotten so many more invitations from schools to join their like cultural events that they have, or like school activities that they're having. And so that's good to reach out more to families who are in special education, but also outside of special education as well. And then we have other projects that Grace is going to share with us.
This Thursday, we have a financial workshop. We're partnering with RS Will downtown there on Market Street, just to run a finance workshop for families to sign up, learn a little more about basic finance, get some resources, community resources, and just ask any questions they have pertaining to personal finance. So we're really excited for that. So far, we have 58 people signed up. which is a great number. They can attend either virtually or in person. We wanted to give that option so that, just hopeful for as many people to join as possible. So we're excited for that. It's this Thursday at 6 p.m.
Hopefully, we can do more kind of hybrid events. I think weather's getting nicer, so maybe people are going to want to leave their houses more and not want to escape the cold. So, but does anyone have any questions or suggestions of what they may want to see, or maybe that we can try and incorporate more?
Janelle, have you touched base with her or reached out to her with regards to maybe coming with or working with you guys for the sip shop since that's...
That is a good idea. We've reached out to her and Jake about the student panel, so that is something that we can connect more with her about that one particularly.
She specifically mentioned that as something she wanted to see.
And don't forget my alley. We have my alley.
Hello.
Yes.
Did I forget you? What about my alley? Don't forget about my
Or the student panel if there's interest.
Sorry. Janelle wanted it to be her focus for this year, I think.
Yep, you're right.
That's a great idea.
Is the finance workshop, our RSVPs closed or? Okay.
They'll be open until probably the day of.
Gotcha. Okay. There were a couple of families at the open house that were asking questions around social activities. And that seems to be something that's come up quite a bit in conversations that I've had. How can I connect with other families for social purposes?
I mean, we do as many as we can, and so just kind of sharing with them what we're planning and what we're having done in the coming months as well. But I think also just sharing with them our information, because we can connect them with people like Nicole Cantwell, who was there from Parks and Rec, because they do so many social activities, and as well as YMCA. YMCA does a lot of social activities as well, and so even just sharing them our information, we can find them more social activities to do.
And the Family Resource Center is at Lincoln A, and it's open when?
So it'll be open, I think, just our work hours, which is between 8 and 3:30. So I think that'll be what the hours are.
I would probably recommend that they call first, just because we do have a lot of meetings outside of the office sometimes, so we just want to make sure we're there if we have to.
And that also depends on evening things. We have to flex our hours between those types of things, but for the most part, 8 to 3:30, and then they can always call or email. I know most families still like to just call and talk over the phone, but we're definitely free to set up times if they want to meet in person.
And now you have a wonderful space you can do.
Yes, I'm very excited about it.
And Troy, you were talking about more longer term. I don't know if that's something, because right now it's sort of centralized in downtown. Is there anything worth sharing around maybe, is this going to grow to other areas of the county? Is that sort of the longer term vision?
It is ultimately the big picture that we eventually have more than just one parent resource center. That's actually something that even Dr. Dyson.
Okay.
And adding more of us. I think we've all talked about eventually hiring more of us and kind of spreading them countywide. I mean, there is one of us in each county. So if you did not know that, but each county does have a parent resource center. Well, whether it's online or in person, and a representative as well.
Okay.
That's wonderful. We're so proud of you guys.
Yes.
And the main question, did you guys become professional plate spinners on Friday?
No, but I definitely became professional goodie bag stuffers, so that was definitely my favorite part.
Joanna, you had a question.
Not so much a question, but I think your idea about the younger group, separating it is a great idea. When I used to worked for a while. I was a program coordinator, and I found out very quickly that you do not want to put the bigger kids and the younger ones and try to do activities because they're not gonna, it's not relatable. And you can, but it's a little, they don't get the fullness of an activity.
Right.
So, because everybody, you know, whether it's, they can't handle the scissors the same, and then you have to give them more attention. So it's separating them in little sections, like the 3 to 5 or 6, like, you know, the smaller, and then the middle, and then the older. That's a great idea to add to the question, because it's, you know, if you're leaving your kids, you still want to know that they're
Of course.
in the right place and with the right activities, so.
And I think the point of SIP shops is kind of like that therapeutic outlet for them to converse with their peers about their struggles, their wins, their hardships. And so they want to be able to, I guess, be able to have like that level of conversation with someone who is their same age and can relate.
Yeah, then it's
the same way.
For 3 and.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you, Issa and Grace. All right, so Brooke, over to you for any updates from CSAC, rather.
Not large updates. I appreciate we had a great turnout from Frederick County, so those of you that were on there, we were well represented at the last meeting. Last meeting, Brian Morrison from MSD went over the SPP data. Assuming Jamie hasn't gotten PowerPoints yet, because I have not. When and if those PowerPoints come out, we will share them with everybody. There were a few targets that were changed, and that was based on feedback that they sent out to stakeholders earlier in the year. They were very small shifts, but as soon as that PowerPoint comes out, we'll share it, and you guys can actually look at where the state's targets, what was hit and what was missed. Next meeting is March 19th. We still don't have the agenda set for that, so I can't tell you for sure what we're going to be discussing at that meeting. But I can tell you the May 14th meeting is going to be a joint meeting between CSAC and all the CAC members that are interested in joining. And the goal with that is to have a better collaborative plan, both at the state and local levels, on what we want next school year to look like, so that over the summer we have a little bit better idea for planning.
And that's a change from the past where it was only the chairs, right? Now it's open to any CAC member. Okay. Great. So once we get that information, we'll flow it out to the members. Thank you. All right, so moving into subcommittee reports. Ms. Weed, do you have any budget updates?
There are no updates because we are stable from last time. I predict probably next month when we get closer to resource fair.
Okay, thank you. Membership. We do not have Kara here. I think you have the update.
a message.
I think Kara. Kara.
Kara, it all rhymes. So Kara sent a message saying that the membership committee will now meet on Monday, the 3rd of March. The final new membership application will be shared to the executive committee by the 28th of February. Then any needed or required feedback or edits from the executive committee will be made so it can be live online by March 5th. And the subcommittee will work on a scoring rubric at the upcoming meeting to use as part of the vetting process.
So once that's ready, then we will need to get that out through, I think it goes out through School Messenger.
Yeah, it goes on our School Messenger website. So we'll be reaching out to you, Troy, man in the corner, for help with getting that out to the community.
And just a question, procedural question. So once we make a request to send something out through School Messenger, is there a certain turnaround time that we should factor in?
It really just depends on like how you want to advertise it. So like for instance, the resource fair, we should hopefully have the flyer in Spanish translation, and then our next step is our folks that have access to like School Messenger and Peachjar, they just get it in there. Usually it can go pretty quick. I mean, so for instance, the resource fair, my hope is that we'll start getting emails and notifications this week. And then, but like if you want things like on the website, you know, like website's really quick, like the CCAC webpage that you guys had, that's quick. Sometimes to get things on the front page might take an extra step to get it in the, you know, so public affairs post it. So, but yeah, School Messenger and Peachjar, we have access to. It's like the only thing I'm waiting on is a Spanish translation. I don't want to push out the resource fair without both. But as soon as I have that, then we have folks in our office that are actually trained on those sites.
If we had like a specific request of, we'd like it to push out on this date and this date, we can send that information and you can schedule it. That's how it works with the school.
Yeah, and that always helps, then that way our team just knows, because otherwise they'll shoot me an email back and say, how long, Troy?
Yeah, okay. That's good to know. All right.
I also know.
We have a full-time person.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to Events Committee. Are you sharing that update tonight?
Yes, we had our events committee meeting, and basically what we did is kind of walk through all of the planning of everything that's happened and what needs to be done for the resource fair. Highlights are we are currently at 42 registered resource, two more have registered since the meeting began. We are now at 44 registered resource vendors. Fabulous. Send them our way. We have several new folks attending to be part of the resource fair part of the event. The Transition Youth Council has 8 total breakouts, including the one Corby is going to be speaking on, ranging from everything from getting connected with DDA to financial planning and all the things in between. We are working, Grace submitted an application and we've received, we're going to receive some items to help provide water and such for our volunteers through Wegmans, so thank Wegmans if you head out that way. Amy has secured for us beautiful volunteer name tags that people will be able to wear that day that are volunteering, whether they're members of CCAC that might not have their blue shirt, or if they are members of staff from FCPS volunteering, or from our partner agencies volunteering that day. So, yay, we're very excited. We want to make sure everybody knows who everyone is. Sarah has coordinated and worked very hard to create sign-up geniuses for not only all of us around the table to sign up to volunteer Friday and or Saturday, but to go out to all of FCPS staff as well as the SEIAs within special education. And Troy is working with coordinating those going out to the correct listservs of staff members. So we're really excited to have more FCPS staff involved, a day where they can meet members of our community and also find out great information and walk away with tools and information too. We're going to have we'll be having one other meeting where we'll be circling back in between our regular scheduled meetings, and everything else is moving along as planned. No big hitches in the giddy-up, so we should be good. Communications is working with us to support getting all the information out. You guys received copies of the flyer when you came in. Feel free to reproduce, give to your friends, post where you were, whatever works. And we have an event on our Facebook page. So if you are liking and following us on Facebook, please share it and watch for more communications to come out that way about the resource fair and the different vendors coming. We'll be doing messaging through that with the communications crew. Does anybody have any questions about the resource fair? I feel like you guys hear about it all the time.
I do have just because people might ask us, and I think if I could be wrong, Kara would be able to help correct me, but I don't believe we've pushed this out in the past to staff. So when staff end up signing up for something, will there be someone on this team that's going to be the lead of it? So then they know what they're go that plate? Like, you know, if they do something on Friday, or have you guys worked that out?
So Sarah has like little descriptions when they go to the Sign Up Genius, and then we'll have reminders that go out, but when they arrive, we're going to have a volunteer check-in area where there'll be a room where they can put their stuff, they can get a little job description, know what they're doing, and we're trying to make sure that our staff that would be new to this would be doing things like how to find things in the building, or working directly supporting children in like the area where students can hang out and play and not have to walk around a vendor floor with mom and dad. So we've been trying to make sure putting them in places where they'd be most comfortable.
Is there a volunteer orientation call or something that you've considered?
Not now, but we could totally do that, and Sarah looks like she's excited by that idea. I think that would be beautiful. We could do like a Google Meet for all of our staff.
Give them the layout, the
Yeah.
logistics, and
Yeah, we could totally do that.
I just say that only because we are gonna push it out to multiple people.
Yeah.
So maybe like a general ed teacher has never participated in the resource fair, never been to Rock Creek, so they might need a little bit.
I think that'd be great. I think I could put that together easy peasy. I think that would be marvelous. Thank you. I see lots of,
So then before we send it out to staff, that we have a date and time.
we could, once they sign up, we could send them a message, like at a certain date, thank you for joining us. This night we'll be doing this. If you're unable to attend, we'll push you out like a PowerPoint or something. We could put that together and do it like, the week before to capture all of our volunteers. And we would love for everyone around the table to please sign up, whether you want to come help set up tables and signage, or if you'd like to be there on the day of and interacting with all of our community. We would really appreciate all of your help.
I'll have a suggestion about the whole training and orientation. So what we do where I work is we actually record it. So we do our own Zoom, we record it, and then as people sign up, we just send it to them in an email.
That would be cool.
So they can watch it at their own convenience, basically. So we don't have to have like a central time and date. We could still do that, but
we could record it and then push it out.
Right.
I like this. Fabulous.
And even if you don't sign up on the Sign Up Genius, you could still show up the day of.
There's always fun
no
things to do.
excuses.
Always fun stuff to
Friday
do.
night to help us set up all the tables.
Or you can come Friday night, because we want to do as much Friday night as possible. So Saturday is more about greeting our volunteers and greeting all of our vendors and just hitting the ground running.
Communications.
Yes, I do. I got it.
I have it.
Oh, did you want to? Okay.
She told, she's not here today, so.
She being Merritt.
Yeah, Merit.
Yeah.
So she wanted the update to be, we as a committee going forward in short term, will focus on pushing information related to the fair, to the resource fair via Facebook and Instagram. We will be putting focus on updating the webpage to reflect information relative to the resource fair as well. We are working to gather additional information for the radio advertisement of the resource fair. I will have an update with additional information by the end of the week. And moving forward, our focus will be on building a strong committee that will be able to assist other committees. We will continue our efforts to build a functional and informative webpage, and as always, continue our social media efforts. These are just a handful of ideas we will be working on in the future.
So the radio spot, when she gets that information, I'll go on and talk about the resource fair. She had mentioned that a couple meetings ago, and so she's going to come back with some of that information. We're also going to highlight all of the vendors, and you alluded to this, and we'll push out on social media just dedicated like promotional things now leading up to the event, all of the different vendors that are going to be there. And I don't know if CCAC has done that in the past, but we're collecting all the logos so that we can push that out so people know who will be there. And we should also do the same thing with the workshops, and some descriptions around the workshops so that people know what they'll be able to access. So that's another thing that is in the works. Okay. Anyone have an update from Student Voices ad hoc No? Okay. Okay, that's all right. Bylaws, nothing has changed since the last CCAC meeting. We did not, our schedules did not align to have an executive board meeting in February. So we need to relook at times where we can get together as an executive board and talk through those bylaws so that we can bring that to the full committee. But we still have the date where we're gonna do an information session. I think that's already been sent out. And it's optional if people want to come and just talk through some of the proposed changes that we're looking at. And some of the highlights are around membership. Do we stay at 31 members? Do we take that down to a smaller number? The timing for the annual retreat, we're looking at revisiting that because of how that lines up with the budget process and the school year. So those are some of the things that we're kind of talking through. And then just sort of cleaning up and streamlining some of the language so that when we are trying to interpret these bylaws, that they're not, in some cases, conflicting or confusing how we operate.
Tentatively set, unless it's going to change for March 11th.
March 11th, okay. So that's the, by then we will at least have some highlights and talking points that we can share with folks, but the intent is to try to get the executive board eyes on it before we send it out to everybody with track changes, so you can see what we're proposing. I think that's it in terms of subcommittee reports. All right, so for unfinished business, we did have two motions at our January meeting, one around UDA list funding, given the implications of that at the local level. And, you know, Corby kind of alluded to that earlier in her presentation. So for now, that has been delayed. Those cuts have been delayed, and I think in large part to a lot of the advocacy that has been happening across the state. And we did get letters out around that. I think it was February 7th. We sent out letters. We did get 9 responses. So we got responses from Senator Jennings, Ray Gallagher, BOE President, Senator Quarterman. We also got response from Missy Dirks, FCTA President, Senator Lewis Young, Delegate Tomlinson, PennMAR List Manager Jess Blaze. We also got a response from MDH Office of Constituent Services, Delegate Fair, and Executive Director Andy Culp with ARC of Maryland. We sent it out to all kinds of folks who we knew were part of the decision-making process around that, and those are the responses that we received. The second thing that we did get out around that time was also a letter to the county executive regarding the funding. So that, I believe, we were asking for the 20 million above MOE, and that number has since changed. So we will probably want to consider, you know, if those are specific to special education, which I'm not sure, the addition, then it might be, I don't know if the committee feels one way or the other, if we want to revisit that, maybe just look for the opportunity for public comment and continue to support, you know, the portions of the budget related to special education. Does that make sense to you, Jen, as a long-standing member and, you know, somebody I trust?
I didn't see a response from, was there a response?
We did get a response from, I believe, the County Executive Fitzwater's Manager of Constituent Services, Catherine McCarthy.
I believe that's what it was.
Yeah. So all of those responses are loaded into the CCAC Drive if you would like to read them for yourself. So I believe that was all of the unfinished business from the last meeting. Is there any new business, any new topics, anyone? Okay. Then we will move on to member voices, and I don't know what is happening with the PowerPoint here. Something got messed up, but we do want to take a little bit of time in the agenda just to hear from. We'll start with parents. Anything that you would like to share?
I had the opportunity to go to Mr. Urbana to support our Jake, Cam Nakar, and Kara was there as well. I did take one of my teenage daughters so it wouldn't look weird. A 50-plus woman sitting there watching 12 teenage boys. First, they all did an amazing job. They all just put themselves out there, and it was incredible. There were dance numbers, there was talent, there was... Jake was Mr. February, so he was dressed as Cupid. I did not share that picture because I hadn't asked his permission, so I didn't feel right about that. But he won Best Formal Wear, and he was the second runner-up. He did a comedy skit. It was pretty funny. But the best is each of the young men had someone walk them out and then give a speech. And so Jake had selected his twin sister, Anna. And first of all, their outfits coordinated. It was really adorable. But her speech, I mean, like for a moment, I felt like a proud mom, even though he's not my son. But, you know, they did a great job and they raised over $9,000.
For Rock Creek. Yeah, that's amazing.
Impressive.
Any other parents want to share anything?
Comment/question, and I hope this is the right space to ask this or comment. So, I don't know how much I can share or how much I can't share, so just stop me. But my daughter's in the Expressions program, and so one of the things that I've noticed the last 2 years, it's her second year in the program, when SEIAs and teachers are out, there are no substitutes. And it really can sometimes impact the kiddos' schedules. I know it messes with my daughter's inclusion schedule sometimes. I know they try to pull BCBAs and directors and things of that nature. But I was just wondering, why is that? Can anybody shed any light on why are there no substitute teachers or substitute SEIAs?
So
Not
actually,
specific to Frederick County either.
yeah.
Okay.
So we do have a substitute shortage
Sorry.
within special education, really, but even not just special ed, but when a substitute posting is put in the system, it does indicate if it's special education. So unfortunately, sometimes people, if they don't have a background, they won't sign up because they don't feel comfortable. And so, but part of our orientation that we've done the past 2 years is we have our teacher specialists actually go, that's one thing that's really nice about Frederick County is we have a full day orientation for our substitutes. And so they get to hear from different departments. And so if you ever do sub in special ed, you actually you get an opportunity to hear from our teacher specialists about what it looks like so that they can hear that. One of the other things that we're actually working on with HR and budget, and they're gonna run some numbers, is that there is a financial difference between if you sub as a paraprofessional, a SIA, versus a teacher. Okay. And so we recently met with HR and budget to see if we can maybe just call a substitute. Okay. And so the pay would be the same, but there may be some impact there. But to your point, so that we can get staff in our programs, because that's where they're needed the most. Throughout all of our specialized programs in Rock Creek, that is where we have the highest staff instances. And so it can impact staffing and it can impact student needs. And so we continue to look at creative solutions about how we could address that. One of the other things in the past, and we've talked about this in our staffing models, is resident substitutes, which is basically another person that would be available so that you don't have to worry about a daily sub not showing up, or somebody not taking the job, as we call it. So it's definitely things that we continue to look at, but yes, both SIAs and teachers can get subs. We just have to rely on somebody being willing to pick it up.
They basically log in each day and they look at all the openings and they have a choice to say where do they want to sub and which position, and so it's whether it's actually picked up. So a lot of schools do a lot of outreach and making connections with substitutes so that they try to have relationships and then they'll have them come back. It is certainly not just a Frederick County issue. It is significant and something that our HR department has really worked hard to encourage more substitutes, and we actually see an increase. Believe it or not, we monitor the data to say how many substitute positions are there and how many are picked up and filled, and so there has been an increase. It's just we're not where we need to fill all the positions.
I never really got a clear answer on that. They were just kind of like, oh, we together. Okay, all right.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you. Any other parents?
I just had a question, a follow-up there. So resident substitute, explain the difference there between those that are kind of in that, in that pool.
Correct. So a resident substitute basically is a position that is full-time at a school. So it becomes an individual that can sub throughout the school, but we actually are looking at potentially getting resident substitutes dedicated just to specialized programs, and even like Rock Creek, because those programs in Rock Creek do have high absent rates. And then the other problem solving that we're going through is the pay differential between what you get if you sub as a SIA versus what you get if you sub as a teacher. Because that typically is the other thing in our programs that we have people out for, is not just teachers, it's the SIAs as well. And so that, though you can put in for a sub, but if they don't put that in, then that's another thing that, and staff may not, or substitutes may not pick it up because it's less pay.
The resident sub also has benefits.
Okay, I was just gonna say, so they're considered,
They're at that school, like they come into that school every day and basically pick up, the school assigns them to go exactly to whatever classroom has openings.
They're under the support staff umbrella, though.
Correct.
They are under the support staff umbrella. They're not under a teacher umbrella.
okay, got it.
You had a question, Zoe, go ahead.
I just had a question about this. Have you guys thought, I don't really know the best way to say this, but like, with her concern, like, about having an SEIA step into that teacher position and then have the SEIA's position filled? Because like, I'm with those kids every day and I know their routines and what they need. And so when my teacher isn't there, it's easier for me to step in and take over than it is for just someone off the street that doesn't know any of them.
Yeah, and you can, I mean, Sarah can speak to this as a coordinator. We do that quite frequently. We will give the SIA the sub,
I mean,
the extra pay for the day, and so we do tell our coordinators, we advise that, and then we'll have the sub actually take over the SIA responsibilities, to your point.
It just becomes like a money issue. A money question at that point.
We can certainly talk to you individually and see, find out more information to help.
No, I just meant, because like in her situation, it is easier for me because I'm with her every day if there's an absence.
To add to that, as a parent, to hear that somebody new is coming in that doesn't know my child at all, especially if my child, and everyone has obviously the spectrum, right? But I remember when Nathan could not have any changes. So hard. Something, it was like, it's not like, you know, a normal thing for other children. Like, this is like, everything falls apart. And then now, he's in a place where he can at least have changes, and he's doing so much better, and it's a big growth. But I'm thinking for parents that are over here, like, didn't have that, and to have, to your point, to have someone.
In my mind, the SEIAs, your kids are my kids when they're there. So I would 100% feel more comfortable being in charge of your kid than somebody that doesn't.
He doesn't know. Yeah, I can see that. I don't know the logistics, background stuff. But I can understand that fully on both ends.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think my daughter is just kind of the opposite of that. She looks forward to that routine, and so when she misses that inclusion time, 100% she gets home and I see it in her behavior. She's tearing the house apart.
Any other comments?
Yeah.
I had one thing I wanted to share. I try my very best to attend either virtually or in person the offerings by Decoding Dyslexia, the Frederick County chapter. They're now doing more virtual sessions. They're usually an hour to hour and a half, and all of their meetings are not meetings, they're educational opportunities where they bring either experts like members of their organization, or they bring in other partners to speak to dyslexia dysgraphia, dyscalculia, also to speak to IEP process. And I just wanted to let everybody know that it's a fabulous resource. If you've not looked at it, you may find if your child doesn't have dyslexia, or if you have not worked with a student with dyslexia, you may find that things they're offering are much broader than what their name says. I just attended one earlier, well, I guess it was last week now. I just carried it around in my pocket while I was walking around my house and listened, and I walked away with new things that I could reach out to my school team to help support my kids. So I just wanted to share that it's a great resource out there.
Thank you, Tara. Any other parent comments? Go ahead.
So just for clarity, usually the process is to have someone that's already in the class. Is that what I heard with this topic? So like,
Can you share?
I don't know the proper names, but I know who's who and when I go there, their faces. So like his main teacher, she's sick or something's going on, so she can't be present. At least in my school, where Nathan is, he can, the person that's already in the room, another person who is qualified, who is being educated in that same level or is about to be there, some certification, I don't know the education, but she's already familiar with everything in the class, so then she becomes in charge of the class instead of having a sub that doesn't know them. Is that usually the case?
So if that is what a SIA will agree to do. So all of our specialized programs have one certified teacher, and then we have 3 SIAs. And those are individuals that know those students, they're in that classroom every day. And so when an absence occurs, it's put in the system. And so maybe to Dr. Beekman's point, like if there's somebody that usually subs for that classroom, they might pick up that position. And so that's one option. The other option that she was discussing is that our SIAs have an opportunity, because they know those kids in and out as well. If they want to, they can lead the class for the day, like the teacher, and they can get an additional pay. We can still bring another person in, but then that person's really listening to the rest of the staff that know that classroom in and out, and they're not taking the lead. It all depends on just the dynamics of each classroom and really what is available. But that's also where sometimes a coordinator might have to fill in because of lack of teacher absent pickups, and then also we will have CBAs. Yeah. Sometimes they might even have to double up classrooms if staffing is really short that day, and we don't get a substitute positions.
CO already teacher or something?
They're a paraprofessional, and so they work under the guidance of the teacher.
So they can.
They're not certificated.
Oh.
So any community members have any comments or anything to share? Jen Wheat?
I have a comment. It's not directly related to special education, but it could potentially be. So in the world of literacy, when we're looking at the potential for kids getting into tier 2 or tier 3 interventions, as we've said in the past, if your tier 2 and your tier 3 are heavily attended or assigned, it means you're tier 1. Something's wrong with your tier 1. So I have a concern from the community about the tier 1 program and whether it's being fully implemented in the classrooms in the early elementary grades. And if it's not, then you see how we have this potential to move into where kids are then being referred more for services that maybe they could potentially get in the classroom. And a feeling of a world where I feel sometimes we're going a little bit backwards. I don't want to go backwards. I don't want to go back to balanced literacy. I don't want to go back to whole language. I want to stay the course of phonics and comprehension and vocabulary. So that's just what I'm hearing in the community. So while it's not impacting us directly right now, there is a potential where it could impact special ed.
Thank you. Any other community members? Students? Anything you'd like to share? Okay. And then that would be staff. Any staff comments or information?
no. Like, I'm like, oh, I always feel like when it comes to staff, like, I always want to say something really awesome, really amazing. I just do want to say that I appreciate coming here every month, because I get the opportunity to hear and learn and come up with some big ideas, and especially to our parent voices, being a coordinator of our specialized programs and supporting our students and families who are my heart, and now also supporting staff. When you share your stories, it really helps me to relate what the day-to-day, right? And what else can we do? What else can we change? And so I actually just want to say thank you tonight. Thank you so much for.
Wonderful.
I wasn't here last month, I had class, but I spoke at one of the Board of Ed budget meetings, and I just wanted to thank a lot of you were there, and a lot of you showed your support, so just thank you guys for coming, and I know that CCAC is our, special ed is our number one, but we do appreciate it as even just like the support staff having some cheerleaders.
Yay.
We love our support staff.
Unsung heroes, that's what I like to say.
Singing.
Any other staff member comments? Okay. Then, any public comment for this evening? Did we have any signups? I don't think we did.
No, we just got an email.
Okay. So our next meeting will be on March 24th. Same time, same place, 6 to 8 here in this boardroom. We will have Trish Lipinski, thank you, because I always get tripped up on her last name. I know. But she's going to come and talk to us about the ACT team, so the augmentative communication technology team. And it's a small but mighty team that provides services around devices that might help either low tech or higher tech options. That will be our speaker at our next meeting. Anything else for the good of the group? Okay, go ahead.
Maybe it's an idea for comms, but are we able to post, like, the information you gave today was so helpful? I mean, like, oh my goodness, like, I wish everybody could hear you. And
They do. We speak everywhere.
No, I mean, like, the rest of the community.
Yeah, one of the things that we want to get into a rhythm around is posting all of the recordings of our meetings. So that is something that has been an ask of the communication subcommittee. So it's something we want to get going for sure. But these are all recorded. They get posted on the FCPS YouTube channel. So you can feel free to share it out if you think it's helpful to anybody that you know. And we will push it out through social channels as well. All right, so that concludes our agenda. If there is a motion to adjourn.
I would love to make a motion to adjourn. Since I wasn't supposed to be here.
We definitely do. So we are adjourned at 7:32. Thank you all so much for your time.